Hello, I'm the Reddit man, here to deal you your Reddit stories. Shall we start? What is the most stupid way you ever got injured? Twisted my ankle jumping off a trampoline in a gym once as a kid. That wasn't the stupid injury though. The stupid part was that I jumped again, which resulted in 2 fractures. I was sleeping one afternoon and all my weight had fallen on my arm. As a result, my arm fell asleep too and got dead numb. The phone started ringing and the sound somehow blended in my dream, causing me to dream about a fire alarm going off. I got panicked in my sleep and that panic continued when I realized that the ringing wasn't just in my dream, it was happening for real. So I popped up, sleepy and confused, and started running towards the source of the noise. Comically enough, my arm was so numb that it was beyond my control and was flailing randomly by my side, crashing onto nearby walls and furniture as I was running towards the sound. It was like running with a jelly-like arm, like the one Harry Potter had in HP and the Chamber of Secrets, when Lockhart deboned it accidentally. Anyway, I don't know which of the billion crashes and bumps was the one that did the job, but that's how I dislocated my pinky. It was a good hit, and my finger stood at a really weird angle afterwards, so I had to go to the doctor to put it back in its place. Hurt like a bitch too. Not me, but a co-worker I worked out with. He broke his sternum by doing push-ups. All I heard was a pop, and he froze. Started having trouble breathing. Called DEMS to be safe. Turns out he moved just right and it snapped. Story time. So it was my second year of high school, which puts me at around 12 over 13 years old. I had skipped breakfast this morning because I was running late and I was a hungry boy. So when the morning interval comes, I, like so many of my peers, head towards the cafeteria. I wanted to beat the queue, so I was running. The corridor that lead to the cafeteria was a wide, sort of common area with lockers and vending machines at either wall, so it was a busy place. Worse yet, there were some older students set up at a table, selling some kind of raffle ticket. The universe did not want me to get my breakfast, as the queue for these tickets was long enough to block my entire path. But I was not to be deterred. Improvise, adapt, overcome, they say. I noticed that there was a small gap between the girl in charge of the table and the wall behind her. In my hunger-addled, chubby little Scottish 12-year-old mind, this was an invitation, an open gate through which I could pass and enter the realms of breakfast Valhalla. As I approached, however, the girl leaned forward over the desk, and her leg raises up behind her, effectively blocking my path. In my greatest fuck you, universe moment to date, I believed, with complete confidence, that I could make it through the gap by simply jumping over her leg. Oh, how wrong I was. As I leapt, believing in my heart that I could soar through the air like a majestic eagle, my foot caught her leg. I felt a sharp change in my trajectory as I now began my rapid ascent towards the cold hard ground. And yet, I was so close to victory. I could smell the tantalizing air from the cafeteria, and I gained a surge of confidence. The jump may not have worked, but there was nothing stopping me from recovering this blunder. Moments from disaster. I simply needed to reach out, catch myself on the floor, and use my momentum to roll. From the roll, it would be a matter of standing up, recovering my balance, and making my way to the halls of deliciousness, while my peers applauded. My left arm was on board with this new approach. My right arm did not get the memo. So when I struck the ground, my left arm took the full weight of my body, and the bones therein cleanly snapped halfway between my wrist and my elbow. The rest of my body came crashing down, and I hit the ground hard, sliding a good 5 feet from my landing site on the polished ground. I never did end up getting my breakfast, but I did get my first, and only, broken bones. In the ambulance, I was able to see that my hand had turned almost all the way around to face me, and the doctor said it was perhaps the cleanest break he had ever seen. About 2.5 years ago, I 3D printed a phone case without properly leveling the plate, which caused the bottom layers to squish outwards. This meant that the design cut into the case was partially stuck together. I got to work cutting it with a knife. Like an idiot, I broke 2 major rules of knife safety. I used a dull knife, an old box cutter, because the blade of my sharper knife was too thick to separate the thin cute out without cracking the plastic. and I cut towards my hand. I think you can see where this is going. The knife slipped while I was applying force to it, and it sliced right down the back of my left middle finger. It was pretty deep, about 5mm at its deepest point. It went over the tendon, but I was lucky because that part was shallow enough to not damage the tendon. I still have a visible scar 2.5 years later. I also still have the phone case, though it's mostly super glue now. This isn't me, but my twin, so it still counts. We had taken a walk to our childhood park from our mother's house and decided to dick around on the playground for nostalgia's sake. My doppelganger was on the monkey bars, holding 2 bars at his sides, so that most of his body was above the monkey bars. He then had the bold idea to release the bars and fall neatly through the square space between the bars. Turns out this plan doesn't go so well if you're looking where you're going. His nose hit the bar in front of him with the full force of his own body weight after already having fallen like 3 feet. His nose was obviously bleeding, and he had a mild concussion on the walk back to the house, freaking out that he couldn't remember certain obvious things. His sniff remains a testament to his epic failure, being marginally more Nordic than mine. I think every time I hurt myself was stupid, but probably when I was a teenager having an apple fight. The apple fight escalated, and I threw one of those softball-sized green brain-looking fruit things, and my friend threw a tree branch at me. The tree branch got stuck in my leg like a wrench and wouldn't come out, so I ripped it out quick and had a gash in my leg. I dropped an energy drink in a 50 or so foot hole, then decided I was gonna get it. This must have been when I was about 13 to 14. I was at a campsite and we were walking through a wooded area with some bushes that had been cut back a few weeks prior, but the branches weren't cut straight down. They were more of an arrow-shaped butt pointing out. I was walking through and someone said something to me. I turned back and replied, and the second I turned around I managed to walk straight into one of these branches, but it hit me right at the top of my left cheek and literally a few millimeters from going into my eye socket, and left a little chunk of the branch stuck in this cut just underneath my eye. I managed to dig it out and had to go to the hospital to get it sealed up with that glue stuff for cuts. The really shitty thing is I couldn't go on the water slide that was set up in the next field over, or go swimming. Good thing is I didn't impale my eye on a stick, haha. I put it down to the lack of depth perception with my lazy eye. That or I'm a turbo man, lol. Shaving. I wanted to hurry, the blade slipped, and I shaved off about 7 centimeters long piece of skin near my ankle. I bled like a methodica, but mostly I was annoyed that I have to clean up the bathroom that started looking like a murder scene gone wrong. My scar isn't particularly visible, just a faint raised line near the edge of the original injury, but now hair doesn't grow there, and I don't have to shave there anymore. A win. My dad has a stupider injury, though. He was biking home when he dropped some papers. He stopped, and instead of getting off the bicycle, he leaned down to reach the paper, then promptly fell over. He broke his nose, it was never reset, and is now crooked, has a huge scar on his nose and forehead. I actually came home not much later after this incident, and I noticed the trail of blood coming from the front door to the bathroom, and my first thought was, did someone die? Nope, just dad coming home, instead of going to the hospital. I was in a cast for a few months from playing Wii bowling. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Also don't forget to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads.